Hello everyone, it's CNMS Student Success Coach Keely Meyer. We all have those times during the semester where it seems like we have exams back to back to back. Today I'll be sharing with you 5 strategies such that you can navigate those times the most successfully. The 5 tips we'll discuss are: first, to reframe your thinking around frequent exams; second, to be proactive and organized; third, to make a study plan that capitalizes on spaced repetition; and fourth and fifth, to remember the importance of sleep and recharging between exams. So first we'll get started with reframing your thinking around frequent exams. Oftentimes we can dwell on the negative of feeling like there's always an exam to be ready for, instead of remembering the positive aspects of frequent assessments. So I would encourage you to focus on those positives and remember that they keep you accountable and on track with your learning. They don't allow you to let things slide such that the amount of material that you have to learn builds up over time. Secondly, it's less information to be responsible for and synthesize. Instead of having to be responsible for 6 weeks worth of information, you're only responsible for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. This might allow you the opportunity to go deeper with your learning. Third, it gives you frequent opportunities for feedback. Assessments allow us the opportunity to measure what we know and also gain feedback from our instructor such that we can make adjustments and see growth, which is a huge positive. Tip 2 is to be proactive. Being proactive means creating a framework so that we can anticipate the busy times during the semester and they don't sneak up on us. To do that, you should get out your paper planner or your whiteboard or your Google Calendar and map out when you have exams, when you have projects, when you have papers due during the semester. And this will then allow us to carve out time for each course so that nothing ends up on the back burner. It's not that we're only able to study well for the first test but not the second test, or do the best that we can in a paper, but we're able to do the best we can in all 3 tests or quizzes or papers that we have due during a given period of time. Lastly, remember, unexpected items always come up in life. If we have a plan ahead of time and we have plenty of time, we can make adjustments more easily such that we can still feel confident about the job that we're able to do. Next is to get organized. Get organized through organizing your course syllabi, assignments, notes, quizzes, and potentially past exams, such that you can easily reference them during the study process. From there, I would encourage you to focus on your unit learning objectives, rating them from 1 to 5, with 1 meaning I don't remember learning this at all, and 5 meaning I could teach this to someone else. When we have a lot to accomplish, we need to figure out how we're going to prioritize our time. We can figure out where we need to prioritize our time by getting a pulse on where our learning is at for each given objective. From there, we can start to implement and make a study plan. So to begin to create your schedule, you should utilize those ratings so that you can make time estimates and predictions for how much time you want to spend on a given objective, on a given chapter, on a given course. You should plan to study a little bit at a time over time, as opposed to in large chunks of time in large cram session. This allows the mortar to dry in the learning process. If we think about learning as bricklaying, if we create a structure just in a really short period of time, it's probably not going to be a super strong structure. We need to lay the bricks slowly over time, allowing the mortar to dry so that we have a strong structure for the long haul. We move items from our working memory to our long-term memory. So if you note the graph on the screen, you can see as the student continues to engage with the material over time, spacing the time between repetitions from 2 days to 3 days to 4 days, you'll see that the retention soars as opposed to dwindles when they only interact with it in isolation just once or twice. So from here we can create a detailed study schedule so that we space our repetition. We can do that by using the study grid that I'll show you on the next slide, or by using your planner or Google Calendar. So this is a way for you to organize your study time in addition to the time that you should devote to eating, sleeping, relaxing, and being in your classes. All of these are important parts of being a whole student. So you can create your own study grid by visiting that tiny URL link. The grid is broken up in 1 hour increments where you can plot out the time that you're going to be sleeping, the time that you're going to be eating, relaxing, being in class, and then studying. For studying, I would encourage you to be as specific as possible. So that doesn't mean writing down study for biology 141. It means reviewing note cards for chapters 4 and 5 for biology 141. It means redoing quiz 7 for math 151 and noting the problems I got wrong. And then the following day, drilling more practice problems that mirror those problems that you got wrong, and then repeating the quiz problems that you got wrong to see that improvement. So I would encourage you to map out how you're going to be spending your time. You'll note on the study grid too, it allows you space to write down your daily objectives so you can organize your most important tasks for each given day and make sure that they show up on your study grid. You should also remember that studying can and should take different forms. It's not just the time that you're drilling and doing practice problems on your own, it's also the time that you're interacting and sharing your learning with others, hearing their explanations and critiquing the reasoning of others. So consider creating a study group that meets virtually, and in order to maximize that time, set an objective for your session. Are you all going to bring 3 questions or problems that you anticipate on the exam and then quiz each other? Or are you each going to come to the session with a problem that you didn't understand on the study guide and get the insight from your peers? It could also mean reaching out to your professor or TA during office hours and asking specific questions. That also counts as study time. And lastly, you could consider attending an SI Pass session or scheduling a tutoring appointment through the Academic Success Center. Having those opportunities to engage with your peers during their learning process gives you not only opportunities to deepen your learning, but also gain the support of your peers. Tip number 4 is don't underestimate the power of a good night's sleep. You need your brain ready to show what it knows, show all of the good preparation that you've done. This means getting at least 7 hours of sleep the night before. Otherwise, all of the preparation that you've done might not have the opportunity to show itself on the exam. Sleep is so important in not only being able to lay down new memory traces, but also pressing the save button on the learning that you've done. So make sure in your study grid that you're noting when you're going to get in those 7 hours of sleep. And lastly, tip 5 is to remember you need to take time to recharge during your between exams. So that means eating healthy snacks and meals between studying such that you're giving your body fuel to perform the best that it can. It might mean taking time to meditate or do deep breathing guided exercises to allow your mind to calm itself and reset. Think about doing something you enjoy between exams. That might be playing an instrument or playing with your pet. And remember to mentally let go of the first exam so that you can move on to the next. What's done is done. The adjustments that we can make will come after the exam once we get feedback, but to dwell on how the exam went is not going to do you any good and can cloud your thinking and ability to prepare as well as you'd like for the next exam. So those were the 5 tips that I had to share with you today. We're only beginning to scrape the surface of this topic, so if you'd like to discuss it further, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email or by making an appointment using the Calendly link on the screen. Best of luck on your next exams.